GearNetwork.com.
This is a Gear Network production.
Boys and girls, children of all shapes and sizes. By now, you know my voice, but still I'm going to give you an intro. Mr. Gabriel Soul in the building, Mr. Cyclone himself, along with Pat G. The G stands for gangster. Let them know what it is.
It is another edition of the TTRP, and we're joined by a special guest today, Marc Hauss.
Welcome. Thank you for being on your show. And welcome to the Marc Hauss Show now. Is it the Marc Hauss Show or is it TTRP still?
It's always the TTRP.
Damn it.
I mean, but you know what?
Damn it.
But you know what? Because I like you and because I consider you a friend, right now, just for this episode, just for this interview, we will call it the
Hold on. Before you say it, I'm going to preface this with, whose house?
Marc's house.
Yes. Okay, now it can be TTRP. I just wanted you to go along with that. You know, that's all.
Not a problem. Well, Mr. House, thank you. Appreciate it. You know, it's
not a problem.
To have you on. You know, you've been setting ablaze to the wrestling roads, you know, recently and throughout your career. Just starting off with that, how long have you been wrestling?
13 long years.
Wow. 13 years. That's an amazing feat for a lot of people, because a lot of people get in business at 13 years and a lot of people quit. A lot of people retire, so to speak, you know. But, I mean, the guys that are still doing it and still in the business 13, 14, 15 years, those are the guys that you want to be around. You want to definitely be around them, and they're actively still wrestling. You definitely want to be around those guys. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I feel it's one of those things where when you're going up and down the roads, like, I always find the people that have either succeeded or the people that are that have been on the road longer than me, and those are the people's brains I pick. Those are the people that I beg and plead to be on car rides with, and those are the people that I pull aside in the locker rooms and talk to. Where it's really sad nowadays, to be completely honest with you, where there's a lot of talent, a lot of young kids coming up that are too afraid or think that they are beyond some of these older guys to talk to them, and they miss out on some valuable life lessons and some valuable wrestling lessons.
Yeah, definitely. You know, so right now, but before we actually got in the interview, you told me you were on vacation, so to speak. You're looking at a cliff. Explain this to me.
It's fantastic. Everybody else, I mean, I live a pretty hectic life. I work a lot, I wrestle a lot, but, you know, there's just a few moments of bliss where I get to sit back and relax. And right now I'm at my cottage in Fairhaven, and I'm walking up and I'm looking over about a 75-foot cliff all over Lake Ontario, where there's a bunch of sailboats and boats and just people enjoying for the holiday, and it's a beautiful sight to see. So while we're talking together, I'm getting a few rays and looking out at the nice waves. You can probably hear it maybe faintly in the background, but it's nice.
Very cool. So let's get a needle action interview, because Pat G's going to be quiet as hell. He always is. I mean, it's a known fact now.
Come on, Pat. That's a gangster. Gangsters talk. Gangsters.
I will get my questions in.
Perfect. Because I want to talk with you too.
So scheduled, and let's talk previous about intergender matches. Intergender matches, male and female, have been happening since the days of pro wrestling. You know, since women kind of became, you know, advocated as a actual pro wrestler instead of just a valet. You know, yep. And they've been done all over the place. You know, Jessica Havoc's wrestled men. I mean, I can't even. I mean, there's so many people that's wrestled.
You got Kimberly,
Candice LeRae.
You got Mickey Knuckles. I mean, those are some of the indie names, and then you have people that have gone up into the ranks, and they've all wrestled.
I forgot about Knuckles. I haven't seen her in a while.
Oh yeah.
So with that being said, Marc, you were scheduled to wrestle. Now help me with names, because I haven't. Unfortunately,
it's okay. Her name is Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, the baddest woman in New York City, trained by Delirious.
Okay. So you were scheduled to wrestle her in New York City. Match got on their way. And then all of a sudden, what happened?
Well, it's one of those things where match gets underway, and I'm in the ring with Chris Levin, who is one of the premier referees in the area.
I met Chris is an awesome guy.
Oh, yeah, he knows his stuff. And then he had Jessie Brooks, and I'll preface this way, is that both of them are in a relationship with each other, long-term relationship, so it helps paint the picture. And there's me, and I've been looking forward to wrestling Jessie Brooks, and it's always a pleasure being in the ring with Chris. So we go through, we go out, lock up, headlock, start to go from there, and all of a sudden the bell rings. And it's uncommon, especially because you have, Chris is very good at his job, and the bell ringer knew what he was doing, and it's a pretty reputable company. It's not something where it's just, some one-off low-end company that's going to make a mistake like that. And I look over, and I don't know his first name, so we're just going to refer to him as his last name is Mr. Orlando, who was one of the commissioners there. And he rang the bell and stopped it, and we walked over, and he said, a man or woman cannot wrestle. This is illegal. This match is to be called right now. And so Chris decided that he was going to get on the microphone and, have choice words. He didn't say anything derogatory. He didn't swear. He just said, so what you're saying is this is sexist. You can't do this. This is not right. And went from there, and the gentleman didn't back down. Mr. Orlando didn't back down. So he ended up legitimately calling it. So we had to just leave the ring and go to the back, and I walked over to the promoters and figured out what was going on. It was a joint show for Tier 1 and Warriors of Wrestling, so the two promoters went to the back and started talking with the gentleman. And I didn't want to lose my cool because I was pretty upset about the situation, because it's not even for me that I was upset about. I was upset for her because she's a friend of mine, and right, you don't do that. You don't call somebody out and basically publicly shame them. Like, no offense, right. They had the card weeks ahead of time. Our graphic has been up weeks ahead of time. They have pictures. They took pictures of the run sheet and the graphics before the show. They had ample time to stop this, and then all of a sudden, it just became a problem 30 seconds into the match.
Yeah.
So from there, we go to the back, and I kind of distance myself and just kind of take in the situation, and I just stand back and I watch.
Wow.
Two promoters are in there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So with all this going on, and like I said, with you being 13 years in the business, what's actually going through your mind? And I know the professional standpoint that you had. You said, I'm going to let the promoters handle this because this is their company. I'm just a worker. I'm just a wrestler here working for them, but this is their company. But in actuality, what's going through your mind right now at that time?
It's one of those things where, like, I've done this long enough where I know the rules, I know the regulations, I know what can and can't be stopped. But it's one of those things where, again, like, because it's not my company, I'm not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize those promoters, because if those promoters decide this match is not going to happen, then that's their choice. Or if they're going to fight for it, that's their choice. I'm not going to put myself in a position to speak on their behalf and fight on their behalf in terms of speaking for them, because it's not, again, my company. So in my head, I'm furious because I know what the rules are and I know what's right and wrong, but all I can do is tell the promoters that this isn't right and ball's in your court. So I just kind of sat back and stewed about it, but I also knew, like, I don't get angry much, but when I do, I blow a fuse and I really blow up. And I knew that I had to prevent myself from doing that by stepping back and stepping away. So, I mean, I was doing everything I had power to compose myself from just walking over to the gentleman and having a few choice words about how much BS this was. So that was really what's going through my mind. I was just composing myself and trying to stay as calm and professional as possible.
Yeah. I mean, and with knowing you all of my career, and I've been wrestling for 7 years, knowing you my whole career, I've never seen you mad. So seeing you mad would be a scary thing for me. And I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
You always take the quiet ones, the nice ones, and you say, wait a minute, if I ever seen that guy mad, I'd be scared.
Yeah, it's one of those things where few people here see me mad, and the few times that I have gotten angry in wrestling, people scattered pretty quick.
Yeah. So with the promoters in the back, with the commissioner, with the New York State commissioner, with Chris knowing what's going on, he, like I said, he's a smart cookie. I've actually met Bonesaw once, remembering back now, because like I said, they've been, like you've said, they've been in a long-term relationship. And when I met Chris a couple of times, she was at one of the shows, and I remember meeting her as well. With them working on that, and like I said, Chris knowing his stuff, what happened next?
I mean, at this point, we're in the back. I'm up like a half flight of stairs looking down, watching. We have Jackson Smart, who is my manager, and he was calm and composed and kept to it and, kind of rallied around to help people, help all the chaos become a little more organized. So the two promoters are looking for the rules. He's looking for the rules. Another gentleman looking for the rules, and Chris is questioning. The hard part is that Chris and Jessie were questioning and trying to get an answer out of Mr. Orlando. But the issue was that, or at least what I saw that really made me more and more upset, is Mr. Orlando refused to talk to Jessie. Like, refused to acknowledge her, refused anything. She kept asking why, and he wouldn't talk to her. And then he slowly started to phase out Chris until he told Chris that he needed to talk. He would only speak with the promoters themselves. And it turned into one of these situations where, like, I don't care who you are. I'm not even saying as a New York State commissioner, but, like, as a human being and as an adult, if you're going to make a decision that's going to basically publicly shame somebody and embarrass them, you better have, the balls to be able to tell these people why you did it and be able to answer their questions for them and not basically run away from them. Like, you should have the balls to do it. And he unfortunately just kind of shut down with the two of them, so that made me even more upset. But, I mean, eventually got to that point where, and this, again, I'm prefacing this with anybody that I talked to, there was the superior of Mr. Orlando got on the phone when they finally called him, because at this point, too, the show didn't stop. The show still went on. So they're trying to figure this stuff out with 3 matches left to go to be able to try to get us to wrestle. Right. So we had to tell the wrestlers who had everything figured out, you guys got to audible and go as long as you want. You're going to keep going, and we're going to keep wrestling these last 2 matches until these 2 wrestle. And that was the mindset. So kudos to the matches that came before us that really had to put in the work, because it was after intermission to really but to really give the crowd a good showing, but allow us to have the opportunity to wrestle. So the superior of Mr. Orlando gets on the phone, and this is, you can find on the Gothamist, you can find on a lot of the published articles, is that Dennis Long, who is the promoter of Tier 1, got on the phone. And the gentleman on the phone rebutted after a little bit of conversation, saying a man can wrestle a man, a woman can wrestle a woman. The only way a man can wrestle a woman is in the bedroom. And that was the comment that was made to the promoter, who, quoted him on it and has been used in print. And it's one of those things where that's kind of messed up. You don't say those things, especially in 2016, where it's not illegal, it's not frowned upon, it's not looked down upon to make that kind of comment when you are a commissioner. You are someone who is trying to abide by rules of the laws of the state. But it was really messed up. And they got to that point, too, where one of the supporting arguments for Mr. Orlando of why a man can't wrestle a woman is that the pro wrestling rule book is also lumped in with boxing, which are 2 separate entities. At the time, it was, I guess, they were both considered a sport and less entertainment for one. But one of the laws in there says a man cannot box a woman. He goes, well, see there, it says right there. But boxing and wrestling, because it's the same rule book, it's the same thing. And if we all know laws are not up for interpretation. They are very exact for a reason. Mm-hmm. So you can't just interpret and go, well, because it says boxing, it means everything else. No. So that was their only supporting argument they had. So eventually it got to the point where Chris had a friend who was a lawyer in the crowd, and this person came back and gave advice to Chris, and then Mr. Orlando got his lawyers on the phone, and they basically told him, I would strongly advise that you let them wrestle. There's nothing that we can do to hold them against it. So Mr. Orlando kind of gave up, was like, yep, you guys can have your match. And thank you to Jeff Cobb and Darius Carter for going a lot longer than they needed to be able to keep the crowd entertained and interested and being able to put in the extra work for us, so that they gave us an opportunity and allowed us to main event. And we went out and had our wrestling match. And then afterwards, Mr. Orlando and his associate didn't say sorry, didn't say goodbye, didn't do anything, just got up and left. And that was it. That was the last they saw. So they royally screwed up, interpreted rules, didn't know their own job, and then people within the company made some pretty absurd comments, and then they left, and like, not even an apology, nothing. But that was it. And it was to me absurd. It's like, for me, I mean, I was more insulted for Jessie because I respect Jessie, and it's one of those things where you don't do that to somebody. I mean, if the script was flipped and someone told me that I couldn't wrestle because of the gender that I am, I couldn't wrestle somebody else, that's embarrassing, especially on the indie circuit where, you know, your image is everything, and what you portray out there is who people take you as what you are. And like to try to knock somebody down like that and take somebody who's worked that hard and puts in the work and especially has to work that much harder in a male-dominated sport and entertainment to be able to get ahead, gets chopped down at the knees because somebody doesn't like the idea of an intergender match and just tries to create a rule that's not there. That's what bothered me the most.
So now with that being said, now isn't it true that his associate was also a female that was with him?
The associate was a female, but the thing with the associate, I haven't gone too much into it. I know that Jackson Smart, my manager, if you ever want to talk to him at some point, he actually has the whole rundown of it, but I guess there was some issues with her as well. I guess she's a commissioner for the New York State. She's a New York State commissioner, and I guess at some point there's an article out there, and I'll have to find it and I'll give it to you guys so people can read it, but I guess there was a little bit of controversy because she went over to New Jersey and actually was one of the judges for a boxing competition for a gentleman who was from New York State. So I got to dive a little bit deeper into that, but I heard a little bit like that. There has been some, especially with the associate, there has been some controversy with her as well. So a lot of things aren't really adding up, and a lot of little things are kind of getting pieced together. And I think it's just one of those things where, for the longest time, the New York State Commission was, you know, this is the rules and this is how it has to be, and wrestling companies would abide by it because, you know, if you cross the commission, then they could go and try to shut you down, and no one wants to get shut down, especially because they work so hard for the independents, because to be able to survive in the independents, it's very difficult. So a lot of people would just kind of give in and go, you're right, and just let it happen, whereas Chris said no and stood up to him, and the second that he stood up to him was the second that kind of all these little cracks in the wall started to expand, because now all these little things kind of got exploited, and because there's enough people that have eyes on it, multiple individuals decided that they wanted to independently go in and dig a little deeper, and then everybody has been finding all these little things that have been going on and happening, and it's turned into this whirlwind of support just to band together to show that maybe the commission isn't either necessary or isn't running the way it should be, and it needs to be reevaluated for future events to be able to benefit both the commission and pro wrestling.
Okay. Wow. And that's just amazing that New York State, this is just because I've lived in New York State all my life and I know this, that New York State is such in the Stone Age still that this is still a problem. And with this even getting, you know, some kind of media, I'm surprised it hasn't got national media yet, which is something that...
No, it's gotten it's gotten a lot of media. It's gotten a lot of attention. I can tell you that it's gotten some stuff overseas, gotten most of the country. I have seen stuff in articles. I mean, so it's gotten there. It's turned into that. It's almost that little engine that could, where it's like everybody loves to support the mom and pop shops now. And now it's like that thing where it was that little story that had a little bit of a rumbling, and a lot of people, and I thank every podcast, every interview, every newspaper, every web article that has jumped on this to help support it, to really get people to see that, I mean, not even for pro wrestling in general, but just for equal rights and just equality of everybody to be able to do anything they want to do. This is just a small piece of it, but it's just another piece of the pie that adds to the general outlook, or the general view is that the country needs some sort of change in terms of certain things.
Right. I mean, and even in this day and age, with everything being so, politically correct, everything is, you know, with all the topics that are happening in the world today, you know, to stop just to kill kayfabe for a second, to stop a staged match between a man and a woman, you know, when when in pro wrestling we don't use open fist. It's illegal to use a closed fist. I'm sorry. So it's illegal to use a closed fist. So to compare it to boxing is ignorant, so to speak.
Correct. It's like the same difference as that you see a man and woman having a fight scene in a movie, and then you're going to stop the movie because it's not right. Like, no, it's the same difference.
You know, so that's well. I mean, it's definitely definitely something that we definitely want to take a look at. Definitely want to put New York State on notice. I would love to, and I just might have to look into it to see if there's something that I could do to put New York State on notice. This is something that needs to be addressed. It needs to be taken care of. It needs to be updated in that in that rule book for New York State at least.
All the rules do. I mean, New York City alone, they've had this Mr. Orlando gentleman. He's gone by the books, I guess. Like, there's things I didn't know, like you're not supposed to tape your wrists and your fists. You're not supposed to indie show past 11 o'clock. You're not supposed to be able to have so many dives on the outside. Like, there's lots of rules that I've never heard of that this gentleman goes by the books, and I guess these are rules. But it's things like that. But then again, I talked to one of the commissioners in upstate New York, and a couple weeks ago, it's been told to me that you can now fight in the crowd as long as you have at least 2 security members that are surrounding them. It's just things like that where it's like it's ever changing, but it's never updated. And I wish that there would be something where, like, you start a pro wrestling company and you have to go get your bonding and license. You should be given a free copy of an updated and amended rule book so that everybody's on the same page. But instead, each commissioner has different rule books from different time periods with different updates on them, and no one really is doing anything across the board universally. It's I got one from the 70s, I have one from the 90s, I have one from the 1900s. So and then they follow whatever version of the rule book they want instead of actually having one uniform rule book that everybody has. Because I guarantee if you go out there, like 90% of the companies, the indie wrestling companies, they know the general rules, but they don't really know the ins and outs of it because no one's provided the information.
I think I found my claim to fame now. I think I'm going to take on the mantle of trying to find out New York State rules for pro wrestling and see if we can get that separated from boxing and get our own separate rules. I honestly believe, this is something that should be.
But I think it should be one of those things where it's a general. It's something that's standard. If you're going to start a pro wrestling company, you have to be licensed, you have to be bonded, you have to go through New York State Athletic Commission. It should be a welcome package. You should be sent information as to what you can and cannot do, the rule books, and if you want to petition, make a change, or make a suggestion, go here instead of, okay, good, you're awesome. We'll have somebody there to follow the rules. What rules? Whatever, you can find them. Like, you know what I mean? It should be a standard book. And there was one in the past, but it's been one of those things where it's gone to the wayside where it's like, go online and look for yourself. So there's multiple different copies. There's not really one that I know of that's standard across the board. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. So I'm looking over some information here.
Sure.
And I see it looks like you're about to get beat up today.
Today? I'm not wrestling today. Why? What am I getting beat up by?
You sure? Oh, today's the 3rd. That was last night.
Yeah.
Why am I so behind the times?
That's all right, because not many people wrestle on Fridays.
That's true. So what happened yesterday at a Moonshine Brand Wrestling?
I wrestled the self-proclaimed, bone crusher, Steve Brown, but, we all like to call him the buffet crusher.
Crushing a buffet is a good thing.
It's a good thing if you want to not be a pro wrestler, if you want to get...
You got a point.
So, the buffet crusher versus Marc Hauss, and the Moonshine Brand Heavyweight Championship, the one that I have brought around with me and defended all over the Northeast. So now it's considered, I guess, an international bout because it's a Canadian bout. But I went back to the home promotion and defended against the biggest, and by biggest I mean weight-wise largest man in Canada that wrestles now. And, doesn't matter what the results are. The results are that Marc Hauss retained his championship belt, and that's all that matters.
Okay. So Marc Hauss, how long have you been the Moonshine Branded Wrestling Champion?
Oh, man, a couple of years. I mean, they took a hiatus for a little while, but I won it. I won it 2014, and then defended it through 2015, and then got hurt. mid-2015, and then the company shut down. So, I mean, I've had it technically for 2.5 years, but I've defended it. I've just started defending it again within the past 6 months. So I'd say probably about an 8 or 9 month legitimate reign in terms of defending and touring around with it. But if you want to get technical by the books, I've held it for 2+ years.
Wow, that's impressive. Impressive.
Hey, it's my second longest run. I held the Crossbar Championship for 3.5.
Very cool, very cool. So with Marc Hauss Wrestling, Moonshine branded wrestling champion, where can we see Marc Hauss next?
Okay. Man, so many places. I wrestle 2-3 times a weekend. So I got UPW. I am wrestling on the 10th, so next Saturday. I'm wrestling for UPW's Upstate 8. I am wrestling Young Miles out of Super Kick Wrestling in Toronto. He's a good young up-and-comer, but, it is my house, and he'll be taught a lesson. The 11th, I do not have any shows, but if anybody is interested in becoming a professional wrestler, we are having open tryouts from 9 a.m. till noon at the UPW school at 100 Boxart Street. So come on down and check it out. It's free, and you can just get some information, get in the ring, and see what it feels like. I will be... I'm debating yet. I haven't decided, but I might be. You might see my face at Ring of Honor in Pittsburgh on the 16th, and I will also be at Ring of Honor at Lockport on the 17th. The 23rd of this month, I am in IWF, where I'm wrestling Sean Carr for the IWF Heavyweight Championship. The 24th of this month, I am wrestling the Chaos for Canines in Ontario, Canada, and I'm wrestling Alessandro Del Bruno one-on-one. And then the 25th, I will be making a little bit of an appearance at Crossfire Wrestling. And then, if you want to finish out the month, on September 30th and then October 1st, I am wrestling for Excite Wrestling. We have our first set of TV tapings for our new TV deal that we have in conjunction with CZW and whatnot. And we'll be wrestling on Friday and on Saturday. So if you're interested in any of those, hit me up on social media. And then we can work on getting you some tickets and getting you out where you need to be.
Very cool, very cool. Well, you just completely took over, my spot of saying, this is your shine, your spotlight. So you took over those spotlight spots. So, we truly appreciate you joining us. It's definitely an honor. You are one of my favorite guys in this business, truly and seriously and honestly.
You're making me blush now. You're making me blush.
Yeah, black people do that all the time. But House, thanks for joining us, man. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to say something. I want to say to Gabriel Soul, you may be king of the Cyclone, but you need to man up because we've gone back and forth too much, like an awkward first date, and actually like an awkward, Tinder relationship. We've gone back and forth way too much, and we've had a misconnection. So you need to get on the horn with MFW and tell MFW that they need to get their head out of their butt. Call Marc Hauss, book him against Gabriel Soul, one-on-one for the MFW Heavyweight Championship, so that I can just add more gold to my waist and say thank you very much, even though you are fighting champion and you are a great wrestler. I'm going to have to beat you. It is what it is. I'm sorry, my man.
Well, listen. Just give a history lesson on two things. One, do you know what happens when a cyclone hits a house? The house doesn't win. And two, Marc Hauss and Gabriel Soul have wrestled before. And Gabriel Soul won that match.
Yeah, how many years ago was that?
That was in the beginning of Gabriel Soul's career. So what?
Correct. Also, hey, you want to talk about the beginning of your career? Great. So you were amped up and ready to go on your first match, and that was like my 5th year in and like my 400th match. So I really should have taken it a little more seriously. But, you were a young kid and you got lucky, and congratulations. So, that's more of an asterisk on my career. It's not really, I don't really consider that a loss. I consider that more of just me having an off day because I was overlooking somebody. It's kind of like going to the grocery store and buying something and forgetting to look at if it's expired or not, or getting to be the point that expired. Then you go, crap, and you throw it out, and you just kind of you just chalk one up for a few bucks lost. I just chalk that up. It's just an asterisk, man. That's all it is. So if you want to do it again, like two real men instead of a little boy that you were at the time, then make that phone call. Make that phone call.
I see it as the start of the career of the 1-2-3 Kid becoming X-Pac.
That's fine. You can think that all you want because, you ever heard of X-Pac heat? Where everybody legitimately hates him, and everybody loves Marc Hauss, and everybody does not want to see Gabriel Soul win the championship belt. They want to see it around Marc Hauss's way. So again, make the call. Let's talk. More calls. Let's do this. Because I think that this time when the cyclone hits the house, ain't nothing gonna happen. Ain't nothing gonna happen.
We got to make that happen. Well, thank you, Mr. Howard, for joining us. We appreciate that. As I said, Pat G said nothing at all.
Pat G, you got any questions for me?
He probably fell asleep.
I did not fall asleep.
Pat G.
Well, thank you for joining us, sir. We appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you.
All right, take it easy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Gabriel Soul, Cyclone.
You know, I'm often asked about the logos of the show and Gear Network and everything. It comes to me, JC, where do you get the designs, the cool designs for the show and everything? And I want to tell you, I'm going to tell everybody right now, right here, you heard it here, it is Indie Card Media. Indie Card Media is a local business that specializes in making quality designs for your website or your business. Whatever you do, they can do it. If you need proof, you can look at all of our logos, or you can go to facebook.com/IndieCardMedia to see all of the designs, which include a political banner, because they've done political banners and everything. Nothing is off limits with them. Give Eric a shout at IndieCardMafia@gmail.com and he will help you bring your design to life. Tell him Gear Network sent you, and hey, he may hook you up with a little something, or at least a smile, because you heard it here. But go to Indie Card Media Facebook. Again, facebook.com/IndieCardMedia. Do it now. Bring your designs to life. Hey everyone, John Cimino here for Amazon Prime. If you've thought of signing up for Amazon, but we're afraid to pull the trigger on that because it's $99 for a year and it's one flat price, even though there's awesome benefits to it, I got great news for you. Amazon has now given you a variety of options to try Prime. First of all, you can either try Amazon Prime Video for $8.99 a month, which is cheaper than Netflix, and it also gives you unlimited movies and TV shows, including HD, Ultra HD, and HDR when available at no additional charge. You can try Amazon Prime Monthly for $10.99 a month, which is equivalent to Netflix, but in addition, you'll get free 2-day shipping, unlimited movies, TV, and music streaming, access to over 1 million ebooks, free unlimited photo storage, and free same-day delivery in eligible areas. Perhaps those drones? Maybe, maybe not. Not sure. Or if you're old school like me, you pay $99 a year annually, and you get all the benefits of Prime Monthly. Plus, you can save 25% with prepayment discount added. It's an added feature for you yearly folks. Don't think they forgot about you. You can go ahead to GearNetwork.com. That's GERE Network.com. Click on our Amazon banner, our Amazon Prime banner, and we can hook you up with a free 30-day trial through us. This podcast does receive a special bonus if you sign up for Prime using us. And that's even if you don't keep it, but we think you will, because it's awesome, and if you shop Amazon frequently like I do, that free 2-day shipping is a lifesaver. As always, thank you for bookmarking and sharing our link at GearNetwork.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us again after that awesome interview. Great interview. Definitely check it out. Actually, during that interview, there has been newscasts which actually interviewed Bonesaw.
Yeah.
Bonesaw, right?
Yeah, Bonesaw Jessie Brooks.
Yeah, Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, and her boyfriend. Great interview, talking about, equality and, how the New York State Commission doesn't separate, wrestling from boxing because it's completely two different sports. So with that, check it out. You can find it online, definitely. It's an awesome video. And an awesome topic to talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, Pat G, man, what's going on with you?
Not much, other than trying to keep up on what's been going on in wrestling, because the regular life and work schedules, you know how that goes.
Yeah, but so what's going on in the world of wrestling? Let's kind of stay home for a second.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of years ago, Western New York Revival, Indie Wrestling Revival on Facebook.
Yes.
Check out the page if you haven't checked it out yet. started let's preface this with the PWI 500.
Yes.
Just came. A lot of different wrestlers from all over the world on this 500-page list. Of course, if you are on this list, it's definitely an honor.
Oh, of course.
Here's magazine. Something that a lot of people can't say they've done.
National exposure.
National exposure. I mean, I don't think it's actually going to, get you anywhere. If you're on this list, if you're one of the, bottom 200,
yeah,
maybe bottom 300. I mean, it's not going to really do anything, but it's a good rub. It's a good something that people see, talk about. Yeah, I'm happy I made it. Some are well deserved. Some are because they know somebody that's sucking somebody off. So
a lot of it is like basically the top 100 is your guys that are on TV and your well-known independent stars.
Right.
Then anywhere from 101 to 199 are guys that have been around a while, have made their name, maybe have had a chance with a TV company like WWE, TNA. And then, like you said, that bottom 300 is kind of like, hey, if you get it, it adds a little more worth to your name, possibly. Possibly.
And that's not being sarcastic. That truly is a real possibly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the reason we preface that is because Western New York, WNY Indie Wrestling Revival, did a couple of years back, did a Western New York top 50.
Yes, they did.
It was a while ago. It was probably, 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was about that.
About 5 years ago, I would say. I'm actually looking for it now. I can't find it. But about 5 years ago, they did something like that. And people went crazy in Western New York.
Oh, God.
Voting for, whoever and wherever. And, so it's something that was fun because it was quite funny at times as well.
Yeah.
But it was also something that made a lot of people look and say, because there was some fan voting. And there was some wrestling voting. There may have been a little bit of corporate moving of wrestlers.
Of course.
Needless to say, it was a fun list.
Yeah.
So after this long time, the Wrestling Revival has decided to bring back the Western New York 50.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking for nomination selection process. They're looking to do that.
Yeah.
Basically, last post on the 6th. What should we do to ensure that the Western New York 50 nomination selection process is as legitimate and fair as possible?
This is true.
So they are looking to make this legit because I have to give it to the Western New York Indie Wrestling Revival page. They love pro wrestling. They truly do. They love the sport. They love the everything. They love the ins and outs of it.
Yeah.
And it's something where when you have someone that loves it this much, they definitely want to, they want to make sure everything is correct and right. And with that, they are looking to make sure that the nomination selection process is legit. But Pat G, let's talk about. Well, we're going to talk about what makes it legit because that's something that they'll handle and they'll look into it and see.
Yeah.
But with the knowledge that we both have and the wrestling that we've had in the Western New York area,
mm-hmm.
Let's talk about a couple of picks that may be on this list.
You know what? The first name that will definitely make this list is Kevin Bennett.
Whoa! That's your first pick?
That's my first pick.
Wow!
Because
you know who my first pick would have been?
What is your first pick?
Big Time Bill Collier.
You know what? You would go with Big Time Bill Collier because the guy's just that good. I'm saying Kevin Bennett because over the last year and a half, 2 years, Kevin Bennett, while he's been blowing up on as he's been getting notoriety with the music career that he has,
right?
He's advanced himself in wrestling as well, because he was the longest reigning ESW Interstate Champion. He was the inaugural IWF Heavyweight Champion.
Right. So
over the last year and a half, he's stepped his game up. Like, from matches that he's had with, especially with Sean Carr and RJ City. So, I feel like he's one of the names you have to put on this list.
Of course. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be on the list. I was just kind of shocked and amazed that he was your first pick. Not saying that he shouldn't be a first pick. Kevin Bennett is amazing. But my first pick, like I said, first thing that popped in my mind, as soon as I hear top 50 Western New York wrestlers, big time Bill Collier. That's the first thing that popped in my mind.
Yeah.
It ain't popped in your mind.
Another name that popped in my mind would be Chris Cooper.
Yeah?
Chris Cooper. He was a longtime reigning ESW champion.
But where else does Cooper wrestle?
Well, this is the thing he wrestles ESW, but since losing that title, Cooper has tried to put himself in situations where he's willing to use his knowledge and expertise to help younger guys.
Mm-hmm.
He's giving younger guys a chance. Like, he's had matches against Vince Fowler. He's had matches against Oliver Extreme Express. So he's giving younger guys in the business a chance to maybe make a name for themselves. Like, he's like, I already made my name. I was the ESW Heavyweight Champion. Here's your shot. I'm going to give you your chance. Prove me wrong.
True. However, the rebuttal for that is that Chris Cooper doesn't wrestle all of Western New York.
True.
Like, I mean, with this list, don't get me wrong, Cooper is an amazing athlete. Don't get me wrong whatsoever, please. This is just, from what I see, these are facts.
Yeah.
Chris Cooper's an amazing athlete. He's amazing in the ring. However, Chris Cooper doesn't wrestle every weekend.
That's true.
Chris Cooper wrestles at ESW, and he came to Riverworks once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but with that being said, I don't see Chris Cooper being high on my list, even if he is on my list at all. Because like I said, only because he doesn't wrestle.
The range he has isn't there.
Yeah. And with that being said, with me saying that sentence completely shuts down my second picks.
Who is how is it shut down your second pick?
Because at this moment in time, they only wrestle in one place as well. And that's ESW, and that is the Hate Brigade. Bobby Sapphire and Roscoe Black. This
is true.
Amazing talents. Amazing. However, they only wrestle one place. So, those three guys would be on my list. They just wouldn't be high because, like I said, they don't wrestle in a lot of places.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick a second person for Western New York wrestlers, there's not that many. I take that back. Hellcat.
Yeah.
Hellcat is definitely up there. Hellcat is definitely up there. He wrestles with broken ribs. He's wrestling now with broken ribs. Yeah,
I've heard that.
I wrestled him and he had broken ribs. So with that, he wrestles all over. He's in Canada. He's all over. Everywhere. So he's on my list. His wrestle son, Maddox.
Of course.
Maddox has made a name for himself. Maddox would be on my list. You know, and like I said, this is just a tentative list.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not bringer in any order whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, just throwing names out there, people who I think should be on this top 50.
A name one of the names I would use is he's young in the business, but Anthony Gaines.
Anthony Gaines, yeah, definitely. You know, Anthony Gaines has him and his tag team partner, Jet Rebel.
Yeah.
They both are, like you said, young in the business, and they are trend setting.
They are.
They are definitely making a name for themselves. And that's good. And when you're young in the business, I mean, of course they have a veteran behind them, you know, helping them and pushing them, who was Ash, you know, Jonathan Ash.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, with that, it definitely helps out. I mean, another name that pops up, and of course, I have to toot my own horn. I'm sorry, Gabriel Soul. I mean, seriously. I mean, and as funny as it sounds,
when don't you toot your own horn?
Well, I mean, true.
All right, go.
I mean, true. I do toot my own horn. However, this is a serious nomination right here. You know, from the time that the original Western New York 50 came out, I wasn't on that list. And I wasn't mad about it. I didn't even say anything about it. You know, this is my first time actually bringing it up. You know,
yeah.
I mean, but, you know, that was what I was 2 years in the business. I didn't expect to be on it, you know. But from there, I watched my progression grow. I watched myself grow from Wrestler B, you know, original Wrestler B to Gabriel Soul. I watched myself grow from that.
Well, even in the years that I've known you, and I've been now going on the road with you, from being involved in like the first couple matches when I started traveling with you till now, like you've progressed tenfold.
Well, thank you. I mean, and it's not nothing. Like I said, it's not anything of tooting my own horn. It's just I know my progression. I've made a progression. I've traveled all over. I've traveled to Albany, Maine, Canada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Tennessee. I've wrestled all over. You know, Rochester, Dunkirk.
Yeah.
You know, all over. So I mean, I've definitely, you know, put the work in. I continue to put work in. You know, so yes, Gabriel Soul, I think, should be on that list.
A name that I would put on there would be Brandon Thurston.
Oh, of course.
While Thurston may not wrestle as much as he once has, he's still a name in this area.
Oh, you're right.
And he will go out and out wrestle anybody that you put in front of him.
You are right.
But when you say Brandon Thurston, you also have to bring up a man that has kind of been taken under his wing in Mikey Everynight.
Yeah, of course, Mikey Everynight is definitely the wheels behind this list, because, you know, he's from Western New York. He's doing it all. He's done it all. Mikey Everynight, me and Mikey Everynight started wrestling. We started training same time. I've watched him grow, you know, to become this awesome wrestler. I've watched him put in the work to put his body, you know, saying to where it is, to the physique that it's at right now. You know, Mikey Everynight looks good, you know, and he's worked his ass off, and he continues to work his ass off. And Mikey Everynight doesn't take, you know, he's not prideful. He's, you know, he knows, he's like, hey man, I'm here to do the job. You know, I'm here to entertain these fans. And I love Mikey Everynight for that. You know, Mikey Everynight is definitely on the list. And he wrestles as well, you know, saying he also helps train at the facility.
Yeah, Grapplers Anonymous.
Grapplers Anonymous. You know, so Mikey Evernight is definitely on there. Another one that I think Jay Flyer.
Yeah, Jay Flyer, from when I first met Jay Flyer to where he's at now, he's grown. He's gotten better in the ring, and he's evolved himself.
Yeah. He definitely has. You know, Flyers is definitely one of those guys that has made a name for himself, who has definitely the skills and the look to, you know, go far in this business. You know, I mean, it's just great. You know, Flyers a good talent. You know, who else?
Granted, his career's winding down, but Johnny Puma.
Yeah, Puma's an automatic. You know, because he's the vet, because he's done it all. You know, Puma's great on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
Puma's great in the ring. He has that presence that, you know, lets the fans know that he's definitely there. One thing that I never forget about Puma, last match Puma had that I watched was at OSPW against Tripp.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's daughter watched the match, and she, you know, she's not really a big wrestling fan, but she loved that match because of Puma's, you know, ring presence, because of his acting in the ring, the way he interacted with the fans. You know, it was awesome. You know, so that just makes Puma an automatic, because he knows how to keep the fans entertained.
Absolutely.
My pick, of course, IndyCar Mafia, Thomas Brewington and Eric Emanon.
It's very true.
You know, they are blazing a trail. You know, they are blazing a trail for pro wrestling right now. They are all over the place. They're at Sanctuary. They're, you know, Tier 1.
They're making their debut in New Orleans late in October.
You know, so I mean, they are definitely making things happen, and that's exactly how you should be in the pro wrestling business.
Yeah,
you know, you don't want to just stay stagnant and just stay in one place. And they are definitely making a move. You know, Thomas Brewington, great, you know, strong style wrestler, you know, who is hard hitting. You know, Eric Emanon is more of the finesse wrestler, you know, and they come together, and, you know, as a tag team, they are awesome. As singles wrestlers, they're awesome as well. I mean, I beat both of them in singles wrestling, but, you know, we're not going to bring that up. What else? Who else?
I would... You know what? He's young as well, but he's definitely improved himself from the very first time I met him. Terrell Kenneth, little
Jeremiah Bradley. I'm sorry.
Yes,
that's the little Jeremiah Bradley. Yeah, he has definitely come into his character now. He has definitely come into a gimmick that fits him now. You know, he is a big guy. You know, he knows that, you know, there are going to be people that are going to compare him to certain people, of course. You know, however, he is definitely in his own skin now. He knows that, and he, you know, he's coming along well with it, and it's great. You know, he's super great, and he's destroying people. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Let's give two more names, and then, you know.
I'm gonna say the two names. I'm gonna go last two names. I'm gonna go with Vince Valor.
Vince Valor. All right, let's talk about Vince Valor for a second.
Because with Vince Valor, he started off as a tag team guy. Of course, tagging with Maverick Matt Milan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's now grown into a solid singles competitor.
He has. He has definitely grown into a singles competitor. He is. He's come a long way, which is awesome, because when Valor started, he wasn't that good. You know, gonna put it out there. Call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
You know, his attitude sucked ass. And he thought he was better than what he was. Let's fast forward to now, where his attitude is completely changed. He's still a jerk, but that's his human personality. But his attitude has completely changed in the locker room. His work has completely done a 180. He's so much better.
Yeah.
He's coming to his craft. He's perfecting his craft, and that's awesome that Valor has done this change, which would definitely put him on the top 50. I definitely would put him on the top 50.
The second name I'm gonna say is one half of a tag team, only because I feel like if the tag team ever split, he'd be the one to make a name for himself, and that's Robbie Vegas.
That's funny that you say that. That's funny that you say that.
Why?
Because the tag team has split.
Really?
Exclusive news right now. Midnight in Vegas is now broken up.
Oh, wow.
Exclusive news.
Oh, wow. We got the exclusive news drop.
Yep. So Robbie Vegas is now a singles competitor unless he finds a new tag team partner, which I think he may have. I'm not gonna spill the old beans yet.
Yeah.
But yes, he now is a singles competitor right now.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Due to injury and due to personal things, Mark Knight has stepped away from the ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Robbie Vegas is now a singles competitor. I honestly believe Robbie Vegas, he would make the top 50. I mean, he would make it on the 50 list.
Yeah.
He's still got a lot of work to do. He can get the crowd going. He's very entertaining. The crowd loves him. He's got the long hair, don't care type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that get the fans. It gets the fans into it, and he's definitely a pick for the top 50. Of course, you can't forget, the cock of the walk, Will Clarician.
No, that's true.
Even though, like I said, he's one of those guys that works the one spot. He is W.
Yeah, and he may have a match. He may get a match. Like, he may work like one or two other places here and there, very random. But mostly it's ESW.
Yep. But he's definitely one of those guys that is definitely on that list because he's entertaining. I'm trying to think. Ethan Page, all ego.
Yeah.
He wrestles all over the place.
Yes, he does.
Even though he's from Canada,
he does wrestle a lot. He does wrestle a lot down here in Western New York.
Wrestle in Western New York a lot. Yeah. So
to wrap it up, I'm gonna go with Maximo Suave and Chris Caden.
Maximo Suave, I hate Maximo Suave. I want to punch him in the face.
There's a lot of people you want to punch in the face.
No, I love Maximo Suave. I love him. Awesome guy. Caden is an awesome guy as well. Those two guys, yes. Those two guys travel. They are a tag team at times. And at times they definitely
could hold their own.
Yeah, they can hold their own. They definitely do. With that, they know what's going on. They know how to work. They know how to get the crowd into it.
Yep.
That definitely is a great pick for, the top 50 as well. So with that being said, man, keep an eye out for the top 50 on the WNY Indie Wrestling Revival page on Facebook.
Yeah,
check it out.
They're gonna get the information out for nominations and all that, and we'll have to see how this list breaks down.
Yeah, hopefully it's done correctly and properly, and it's done fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the main thing. It's got to be done fair. So, with that being said, Pat, I think that's a show.
Yeah, we do have a couple minutes left. I just thought of something because I remembered I read something earlier today.
What's that?
It's been 20 years since Hulk Hogan turned heel.
Wow.
And in part one, Eric Bischoff has a podcast. Eric Bischoff Talks Wrestling or whatever. He has Hogan on it's a 3-parter. The first part was released. In the first part of the podcast, they talked about Hogan gave his opinion on how he would turn John Cena heel. Now, we all know how Hogan turned heel. He basically dropped the leg on Macho Man, revealed himself as the third man in the NWO. Hogan came out and basically said the way he would turn John Cena heel, he would try to make it as personal as possible. In the sense of Cena going, I do all of the things that I do for me, for the money, and whatnot. I thought about it. I did. I don't think that's the way that if they ever do it, I don't think that's the way they would go.
I don't think they're going to do it either. I really don't think they're going to do it at all.
No. It caught me off guard because the way he explained it, it's like they turn him heel from like the real personal situation, not like from a storyline point of view.
Well, because that's the only way you would have to turn him heel. You know, he's not going to turn heel on one of the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because I don't like you. That's the only real gimmicky way to turn him heel is to make it real life.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with Cena because he's such a... There's too many little kids that love John Cena. There's too many sick cancer...
Yeah.
Too many sick Make-A-Wish kids that love John Cena. You can't turn him heel.
Yeah,
There's no way you can.
He just did his 500th Make-A-Wish last week.
Yeah.
I think I read.
There's no way you can. There's too many kids that love John Cena, so there's no way you can make him heel.
Yeah. It was just one of them things that kind of caught me off guard. I was like, I didn't expect it, and then thought about it, and I'm kind of like, yeah, that's the only way they do it, but I don't think they can nor will.
Nope.
But yeah, that's pretty much the show.
Okay, well, that's cool. Well, there's a couple of shows going on this weekend.
Yeah, there is. Oh, God.
Talk about.
Yeah.
Because
OSPW's final show.
Right, here it is.
UPW has the Elite 8 or the Estate 8.
Yep.
US versus Canada with Space Monkey and Dick Justice and Cody Deaner. You know what? Actually, you are named a member of the Team OSPW.
Yes, I am.
You were named a member of Team OSPW along with Deacon, Bishop, and Brian Emanon to face Mad Dog Xavier Jones, Terry Cadillac, and PJ Hansen, with the rest of the team members yet to be announced.
Right.
Who's the fifth member of OSPW? Do you know?
Bruce Davis.
Ah.
Yep, Bruce Davis is the fifth member of Team OSPW. So, that's that.
Yeah.
But that's the show. Definitely check out OSPW. Check out a whole bunch of different shows going on in the area.
Yeah, OSPW, UPW this Saturday as far as Western New York is concerned.
Yeah. So we are all set. So with that being said, for Pat G, the G stands for gangster. I am Gabriel Soul, Mr. Cyclone himself, and you know how we get this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Cyclone!
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network. Hey Don, how's it going?
Living the dream. I'm actually just getting ready to do this commercial.
Oh, you mean the commercial where I tell our listeners to tune into Gear Network every week to listen to our show, Get Ready America, that one?
Yeah, John, that's the one.
They can also listen to us talk about news, sports, whatever's on our minds, that...
And a little what's on our listeners' minds, but they're just too nice to say it.
Well, that, Dawn, is a real humdinger.
Humdinger.
Come join us this and every week for Get Ready America exclusively on the Gear Radio Network.
And the Gear Network app.